This is the Insta360 Flow 2 Pro, and this is able to automatically track and zoom in on my face to keep me in frame even when I'm all the way back here. And there's a lot more where that came from because this gimbal is insane. And in this video, I'm going to be showing you why you need one if you want your videos to be taken more seriously. And just a quick disclaimer, Insta360 did sponsor this video. However, they have no creative control over anything that I'm saying throughout this video. These are all my thoughts and opinions only. So here's the original Insta360 Flow Pro, and here's the brand new Insta360 Flow 2 Pro, an improved version of what was already one of the best iPhone gimbals on the market, if not the best. It now has an improved design, active zoom tracking, multi-person tracking, free tilt mode, a pro framing grid, smartphone and Apple Watch remote control, and more. And don't worry, we'll cover all those features throughout this video. I just wanted to tell you up front that there's a lot that's changed with the Flow 2 Pro. And by the way, if you're not familiar, this is a gimbal for your smartphone. And basically what this is gonna do is dramatically improve your video quality since it makes your shots super smooth and stable. And plus, this is still the only gimbal out there, just like the first one, that supports Apple Dock Kit. This is Apple's technology that allows you to track with the native camera application. So if you press the back trigger here, this light will turn green and it'll track your face to keep you in frame while using either the default camera app or third-party applications like Instagram, TikTok, Zoom, and so on. Now hold up, you might already start noticing some of the design differences between the Flow Pro and the Flow 2 Pro, and that's because there's actually a lot that has been changed. But don't worry, it's still lightweight and small enough to fit in your pocket, and the contents in the box are basically the same as well. So you get the gimbal itself, a magnetic phone clamp, a USB-C to USB-A cable, and this protective pouch. Or if you spend an extra $30 for the creator kit, you get this MagSafe mount, which is my preferred way to attach the gimbal, and you also get the spotlight and a USB-C to USB-C cable. And by the way, the unfolding mechanism is a bit different here with the Flow 2 Pro, so you kind of pull this arm outwards, you know, kind of where your phone attaches to, you pull this out, and then to close it, you just push against that same arm. It's kind of awkward at first, but you will get used to it. And once you unfold it for the first time after you unbox it, you will get that simple AirTags or AirPods like pop-up for a one-tap setup. And before we talk about the amazing new features, we have to mention the two big design changes because Insta360 fixed my personal two biggest problems with the design of the original Insta360 Flow Pro. And number one is with the grip area. So the grip area on the original Flow Pro was way too small. Your hand could hardly fit there, but now the area is much larger and you have more room for your hand to fit. And then number two was probably the biggest one. A lot of people in the comments complained about this as well, and that is that the tripod legs on the Flow Pro were so weird and so weak. They kind of extended out a tiny bit, and then you'd have to pull on this other piece to pull it out, and mine actually broke after a drop. But this is solved with the Flow 2 Pro because we now have upgraded tripod legs that are far more sturdy and just well built. And this means that the gimbal won't flex as much when you push down on it, and it also won't fall over as easily as it did before. Now also the selfie stick is a bit thicker than it was on the original Flow Pro, and that's in part due to one of the big new features of the Flow 2 Pro, which is free tilt mode. So the Flow 2 Pro features larger 3-axis angles, and you can now freely tilt the camera up and down. So with the original Flow, the tilt was limited, so the gimbal would kind of misalign with the subject and tilt down. But with the Flow 2 Pro, the rotation range is unlimited, so there's no limit to your tilts. And this is the first ever foldable gimbal with 360-degree tilt rotation. And the way to get into this free tilt mode isn't so obvious, so you do have to pull the selfie stick up and then push this top part towards the base until that hinge moves down. And then that reveals this on and off little button here, this text, and now you want to twist this over to the on position, and now you're set. And you can use this for crane shots, for tilt shots, or if you want to combine crane and tilt shots in one, you can do that as well for, again, a more cinematic look. And this is really great as well for kind of going real low on a subject and then kind of rising up. So there's a lot of flexibility you get with this new free tilt feature. And by the way, you might have noticed this little chrome piece right here on the back where your phone mounts. And that's not just some random chrome piece. It's actually a small selfie mirror. And I thought it was a funny little gimmick at first. I didn't get it. I thought it was like an AirTag, you know, on my Insta360, but I actually use it. I might be ashamed to say that, but I actually use this when I have the rear facing cameras facing me. That way I can see and make sure that I'm actually in frame. But that's not all. There's another pretty big new feature with the Flow 2 Pro, and this one requires the Insta360 app, but this feature is called active zoom tracking. And this is a big one because with the original Flow Pro, if a subject was far away from the camera, sometimes it would kind of lose track of them and it wouldn't really focus on their face. But now that is not an issue because the camera will now automatically zoom in up to 15x to closely track the subject out there in the distance. And that 15x is huge because other gimbals out there might only give you up to 8x zoom, even with the latest 16 Pro Max. So yeah, this is a big deal for sports, for hiking, for pretty much anything out there where a subject could potentially go far away at some point, and you might want to zoom in on them to make sure you get all those facial, gestures, those facial expressions and things like that from a far distance without having to manually zoom in yourself. And once again, this is the only foldable gimbal to support a feature like this, especially going up to 15x. Now keep in mind, this feature does only work with the Insta360 app and the new AI-powered Deep Track 4.0 system, which is just fancy speak for Insta360's latest tracking software that they use. But basically all you have to do is select the subject that you want to track, tap on the active zoom and tracking plus buttons to turn them on, and then you can enable auto zoom if you want to. I turn that on just to make it easier, and now it's going to automatically zoom in and out using the software to always keep you in frame and kind of zoom in on your face or the subject's face. Now this new Deep Track 4.0 system also includes another first of its kind feature, and that is multi-person tracking. So say you are walking down the street with a group of 4 friends and you don't want to, maybe have their heads cut off when you're using the front facing or rear facing camera. Well, now you can select everybody that you want to track and it will automatically keep that group of people in frame, whether you're using the front facing camera or the rear facing camera. But aside from the people tracking features, we also have some other pretty cool software based features that are going to make your life a lot easier when shooting in the Insta360 app. Now, granted, I have to say, I have to admit, I don't always use the Insta360 app. I honestly mostly just use the default camera app, or like, Blackmagic Camera or Kino or something like that, because the tracking still works in all of those applications. But if you want to take advantage of all the really cool software-based features, you do have to use the Insta360 app, which I have to say it's a lot better now because there is ProRes support and also Dolby Vision support if you don't have a Pro iPhone. So it's a lot better now than ever before to use the Insta360 app. But just keep in mind that when I'm talking about these software features, they are required, to use the Insta360 app. You do have to use the Insta360 app and not the camera app. But yeah, this other feature here is awesome because you can change the composition and the framing of your shot. So you just tap on this little reposition button right here. And if you tap on one of these grid squares, your face is going to be positioned in that spot for the remainder of your shot. So whether you move around, your face is still going to stay in that spot, which is really great if you're somebody who likes to have a more creative shot where you're maybe not just right in the center of the viewfinder with your face. Okay, so I realize I've talked about a lot of really sophisticated, really advanced, really technologically savvy features here with the Insta360 Flow 2 Pro. And you might not be somebody who's going to use any of those features. So let's break down the very basics, the core fundamentals of using the Insta360 Flow 2 Pro as just maybe an average user who's trying to get some great shots for their social media page. So let's first break down what we're working with here on the exterior of the Flow 2 Pro. So on the front side is the control panel, and there's a lot going on here that you might not even realize. So first off, we have 4 buttons. You can see it says Auto, F, PF, and FPV. Those are all the gimbal styles. You change that by pressing the M down at the bottom for mode. And then to the left of that, we have the record button. You have the C button up top where if you tap that once, it will do a 360-degree pan rotation. And if you click on it twice, it will activate the 360-degree panorama view, or you could also long press it for a barrel roll. And then on the right side, we have these two arrows. And if you click that one time while in the Insta360 app, it will switch between the front facing and the rear facing cameras. And if you double press on that, it will physically change your iPhone from landscape to portrait or vice versa. And if you click on it 3 times in the Insta360 app, it will change between photo and video modes. There's also a little scroll wheel here for smooth zooming in and out while recording. You could also change this setting inside of the settings to be a manual focus control wheel instead. And then right in the middle is the joystick, which is a little bit larger than the previous generation, and it's also easier to control for moving the gimbal around. And then right here on the back is a trigger button, which will be one of your most used buttons on the Insta360 Flow 2 Pro, because this can start and stop your tracking of a subject with a single press. If you press it one time, it will start and stop tracking. If you double press it, it will recenter the gimbal, which you're probably going to use all the time right there. And if you do a triple press on the trigger, that's going to flip the camera around physically. And then if you hold on the trigger, that's going to lock all of the axes, and that's going to be where your phone is going to be completely still for a really smooth shot. Now, if you put your phone on the gimbal and you go into the camera app and you're maybe doing a rear-facing camera shot, like you want to have yourself in frame on camera with the rear-facing camera, you can check your framing in this little mirror right here, the little, selfie mirror. That's one way to do it. But with the Flow 2 Pro, we now have 2 ways to not only see what's going on in frame, but also control the gimbal remotely. You can do that with another phone now and also with an Apple Watch. So to control this with another smartphone, you just tap right here and then you scan this QR code and you can remote preview, you can start and stop recording, you can take photos, you can control the head rotation to adjust the composition, and you can select or switch the tracking objects from another device, which is awesome. And then for the Apple Watch control, this one was actually pretty cool as well. I didn't think this would be as useful as it is. So you can use your Apple Watch to remotely control the gimbal. So you can do things like change the angle and rotation, you can record and stop recording, and you can even switch the tracking subject in the Insta360 app as well. And keep in mind, you do have to be on watchOS 11 for that to work on the Apple Watch. And when you're recording, you'll know that you're recording because this white LED light strip on the back of the gimbal is going to be pulsing. And if it's flat white, if it's just like a flat white line, that means that you're not recording, it's idle. And once again, if you see the green light right here, that means that subject tracking is active. You can activate that or deactivate that with a simple tap of the trigger on the back. Just press that in and that will enable or disable subject tracking. And if you're feeling a little fancy with your Insta360 Flow 2 Pro, you could also shoot some 360-degree panorama shots because those have also been improved here with this new model. So it wasn't great, honestly, on the Flow Pro. Like I really tried to shoot a lot of shots and it was buggy and the images just didn't turn out great. The stitching wasn't great, but now it's much better. So the C button right here will activate the pan roll to shoot a 360-degree shot. And HD mode uses the 0.5x lens, the ultra wide lens, and Ultra HD mode uses the main 1x lens. And you can kind of see some of my results here from these 360-degree panorama photos. It works quite well, actually. So overall, I love the Insta360 Flow 2 Pro. Now, is it worth it if you have an original Insta360 Flow Pro? Maybe. I mean, for me, I probably would, just because of the major annoyances I had with the design, with this base being so small on the original and the tripod being so terrible, in my opinion, and broke at the end of the day. So, that to me would be worth the upgrade, just the design changes. Now, the software changes, they're not going to really be something you use on a daily basis. Like, yes, they're all cool to have. Don't get me wrong. They're really awesome to have, but I don't think that it's necessarily worth upgrading from if you have the original Flow Pro. I think the main reason to upgrade are going to be for the design changes. Now, if you've not bought a gimbal before, if you don't have the original Flow Pro, I think now is a great time to jump in on this Insta360, Flow series, because this one is brand new. It has all the latest and greatest in terms of the features, and I feel like they finally got the form factor right here, the design right, with this little base and of course the tripod and everything else as well, especially the free tilt. I don't know, I just like the Flow 2 Pro a lot, and I think it's a great gimbal, especially if you're somebody who's not had one before. I don't think it's very hard to go wrong with this one. And if you do decide to pick up an Insta360 Flow 2 Pro, be sure to use my special links down in the description below, because you could get an exclusive gift with that purchase only if you use my special link down there in the description below. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Also leave a comment down in the comment section below with your thoughts on the Flow 2 Pro. Are you buying it? Are you not buying it? Do you not care about gimbals? Are you upgrading from the original? Let me know any and all thoughts down there in the comments below. Hope you guys enjoyed it once again, and I will see you very soon.